The pole award goes to Tyler Faber for Hamilton Autosports, his first of the year. After much anticipation, the second annual running of the Insomniac Elite Series European Tour is ready to kick off here as we're here at Silverstone, the Silverstone Circuit for the Round of England. After last week at Michigan, there was concern over the conditions of Chris Louvier, Jeffrey Finguy, and Dylan Young after a hard crash, but thanks to the cars and the quick work of the track crew, all three did not suffer any major injuries and are cleared to race here today. Despite that, there is still some major driver changes in a season that's been full of those, as Team Thunder and Tauja Racing announced that they were releasing David Valzak and Chris Argus-Smith respectively. And what's more, the Team Thunder also said that the 74 split car operation was going to be disbanded, which, like, the split car project has been abandoned, which means Brandon Wood's points are solo again, although he'll still be running a limited schedule for what would have been Valzak's races. The team plans to give a bunch of drivers an opportunity to race, and that started this week, as in the 74 for this race, it is Slim Jim Series veteran and hometown hero Will Lewis making his IS debut, and he's been doing a solid job this weekend, qualifying inside the top 15. Meanwhile, Chris Argus-Smith took his Ravitech sponsorship and found a spot at Sean McLaughlin Racing, an Irish driver at an Irish team. And in the 68 this week is Riccardo Picarelli, a BTCC veteran. Meanwhile, moving over to the 76 is a new driver, Asherton Zona, another Canadian driver entering the field, and he brings a nice new livery for that 76 team, and it'll be interesting to see how he does. Now, Great Britain has always been known for poor weather, especially during the summer, but the practice and qualifying sessions were run in the dry. But heading on to race day, there was a torrential downpour, and we are going to be having a rain race here today, our first in quite some time. But the team's got their wet tires and they're ready to go. So while I hand it off to our guest commentator, Formula X race analyst Jack Cartwright.
Green flag is out, and away we go here for the round of Silverstone. Tyler Faber on the outside gets a really good jump off the start-finish line, heading into Copse. Chan is going to take that preferred inside line on Nico Poyaka for that second position. Connor Atwood back there in the third spot. Or excuse me, going to take that fourth spot from Nick Pericles, as Ryder Smith and Ray Craig are going to battle for the sixth position. As we head into Beckett's and exit Chapel into the hangar straight. Looks like Chan's going to be all over the back end of Faber, but I don't know if he's going to try to make a move to race lead. This is a pretty long race, about 41 laps. Chan looked to peek to the inside at the end of the hangar straight, but to no avail. He's going to have to back off into Stowe. And Faber's going to maintain the race lead. We do have trouble in the back. Alex Perkle gets into the back of Jacques Cook and gets turned around by Roma Favali as he's going to go into the outside retaining wall. Not much damage from the 28 as we look on the helicopter view. And a little aggressive too early there by Perkle. He's going to clip the back quarter panel of Day Cook, and that's going to send him around after he bounces off the 45 of Roma Favali. Favali had nowhere to go in this incident. Marc Robert is not going to have a good start as he gets dumped by the 66 of Picarelli on lap 2, and that's going to result in a time penalty for the 66. I'm pretty sure he knew better than to do that. Let's get a better look at that. Picarelli making his IES debut. Not really impressing a lot of the drivers in the paddock today. Of course, he dumps the 5 in through maggots. By the end of lap 2 and in lap 3, Tristan Lilly in the number 16 has made a big charge to the front, and he's just passed Chris Argus-Smith in the 68, trying to get to the inside of Dylan Young in the 2. Of course, Lilly was not pleased with his qualifying efforts. He's trying to get himself into the top 20, which I believe he's going to right now, but he's going to have to chase down Chris Louvier. I think he's just took the position number 18 from Dylan Young, and now Young under attack from Chris Argus-Smith with the 16. Having a very solid start already as we head into lap 2, lap 3. Cosmic Nova sitting around in the top 25. He's actually he's closer to the top 20 now that I think of it. Nova started well in the back 40th place, and he almost dumps the 66 Picarelli around. Nova, very infamous for causing incidents with some of the back markers. I mean, Picarelli isn't necessarily a back marker, as he has been a multi-time touring car champion. Holbert will retire from the race due to a fuel leak, and so that's going to put an end to one of the S3 Motorsports cars this weekend, right there. But Nova going to make a charge into the top 20. This is some impressive stuff from him. Lap 4 now, as Wilhoit is going to attack Louis Duran for 16th place, from what it looks like. And Ali Nelson runs 15th, his teammate, Wilhoit's teammate. And Nelson gets shoved out of the way by a teammate. Usually, Nelson's been the one that's been blowing the 16 out of the water throughout most of this year. But you gotta mention that Wilhoit did win a race earlier this year at Willow Springs in a very chaotic fashion as well, after his teammate Nelson pretty much threw that win away. So Wilhoit gonna try to mount a charge to make his way into the top 10. Kyle Collins having a little bit of trouble early on into lap 5. Now he's under fire from Will Lewis and Ray Krieger, who almost collided off of the wood coat. But Krieger into Copes is going to have the preferred line, so will Lewis. Lewis, being the Slim Jim Series regular, was driving for Porsche Developments, is going to go for a Drivers' Championship also this year. The Slim Jim Series is also going to be in Europe for the European Tour as well. By lap 6, Maxwell Chan is now going to attack the 11 of Tyler Thaber. Down the inside into Stowe, he's going to make that move work just fine. Chan, having been winless pretty much the entire year for the most part, he's going to try to mount some sort of big charge to the European Tour. It's been predicted that Chan is going to probably dominate most of the European Tour, but now he's going to have Tyler Thaber to negotiate around Club if he's going to have any shot at, down Vale, if he's going to have any shot at getting him for position. Let's see, let's go into Abbey now. Not the best camera angle in the world to really look at that. Thaber on that inside, he's going to take the outside line, exiting Abbey onto the farm straight. Will that give him the preferred line? It probably won't. He is edging out just barely ahead of Maxwell Chan. Poyanko slides a little bit wide, going to be under fire from Connor Atwood for third position. And Poyanko continuing to make mistakes as he swings it wide out of Priory, as now we're going to head into Brooklands and Luffield. But Thaber trying to hold that to the outside as best he can on the exit of Luffield. He's not going to be able to do that. Maxwell Chan is going to be on point and will take the race lead. And it looks like Chan does not plan on looking back anytime soon. Maxwell Chan heading to lap 7 will lead this race. Thaber beginning to crack under pressure from Connor Atwood into 3. And speaking of Atwood, he's going to take the inside line into Stowe. We're going to see how that pans out for Thaber, if he's going to try to defend that second spot from the 3. It seems like Thaber might have used his tires up in the process of trying to hold the 51 back. Ryder Smith also having joined these back of cars as well. They're going to try to do battle for the top 2 spot. But Chan already pulling away thanks to the battle that these two are undergoing at this moment. As we head into Abbey, let's see how that pans out for Atwood. Atwood might not have the preferred run on the exit. And no, he does not actually. Thaber gonna try. Yes, Thaber will maintain that position. Ryder Smith's gonna run it wide on exit. This is Smith's first race back from a 1-race ban from an incident that took place in the Sony 400 between himself and James Schilling and other vehicles that have changed the events of the race. And now Atwood having slid back to 4th behind Polyakov in the 48. Nico Polyakov having a fantastic showing so far in the S3 Motorsports number 48 machine. Cosmic Nova continuing to advance his positions. He is right now overtaking the 68 of Chris Argus Smith. Smith having been released from the Tauja Racing unit. Of course, it's not been a good tenor for him so far. I think he's been outperforming most of the TRU cars, but I would be incorrect on that. Nova continuing to chase down Dylan Young from what looks to be a top 16 position. Meanwhile, Kyle Collins fails to use the brakes, and that's going to cause Ray Krieger to run into the back of the 14 to Sean Angel, and Krieger is going to have to come down pit road to get that hood removed. And I couldn't necessarily blame Kyle Collins there. The weather is not making things much easier for him in the braking zone. He might have slipped on a puddle, and that's what caused him to run into the back of Krieger and caused an accordion effect with Sean Angel. And Will Lewis, DJ Curtis are now going to try to close in and to capitalize on this situation. Paul Schneider, making his IES run in Europe, is having a good tenure so far. Meanwhile, his teammate Zachary Fitzwater, earlier in this lap, has blown the engine in the 59. Fitzwater having claimed earlier that this is his kind of track to run on, and unfortunately that's going to take him out of the race. He's going to be the second retirement of the day, so that's a tough break for Fitzwater in the 59. We're not sure what B&W Team Deutschland is going to have to say about this one, but they're not pleased with that. Nova now attacking Dylan Young in the 2 through Maggots and Beckett's. Nova, the 2-time Drivers' Champion, there's a lot of rumors that he may not be in the series next year. But I find that difficult to believe considering his current performance right now. He went from 40th and he's already passed about 20 cars. And maybe more than that. As we get further down. We're about a quarter of the way through this race. Nova gets around Dylan Young for position without a problem. So Cosmic Nova once again proving his talent. As we mentioned Paul Schneider earlier, he's now mounting an attack on Nick Pericles for the 7th position. 2-time Formula X Drivers' Champion, running for Diaco Power Racing. Definitely showing these Insomniac Elite Series drivers what he can do in a stock car. Right now he hasn't mounted a charge. Now he's going to take a dive to the inside into Stowe. This is a move he's made before in Formula X on Nick Mueller before in the British Grand Prix a couple years back. That allowed him to come by and win the race. Schneider trying to maybe look at mounting the outside into Club. And that's going to be interesting if he can manage to mount a pass on Pericles. And yes, he does without a problem. Pericles still trying to find an opening on Schneider, but to no avail. Schneider's going to maintain that 7th spot. So great run for Paul Schneider so far. Meanwhile, Sean Angel in the lap 12 is going to attack Pericles off the exit of Chapel. Kyle Collins right behind as well. Into the hangar straight. Is he going to make a move to the inside and go for that 8th spot? Yes, he will. Angel with that rear end damage. He doesn't seem to be fazed by this damage at all. Collins, his teammate, going to try to mount a charge on the outside, entering Abbey as well. And yes, he will do that. In fact, Pericles might just be slower. Oh, look at that! Collins tried to force a 3 wide between himself, Angel, and Pericles, but that's not going to work, as Angel just has a better run on the inside on the exit of Club. But Collins might try to mount a charge on Angel for position, but that's not going to work. So Collins going to have to slip back a little bit. Will Lewis. Oh dear, that could have been a big accordion effect there. How they managed to keep off each other's bumpers after Collins' little shenanigans right there. Allie Nelson is going to run into problems with the 96. She has a tire going down. And Nelson must be fuming in her radio right now.
Oh man, what the hell happened?
And I cannot say that she's surprised about that one. Hallie Nelson, of course, having was having a strong car going, but after her teammate Woolhoy just completely decimating her earlier on in the race, this doesn't make things better for Audi Team Joe Est. Speaking of Woolhoy, he is now under fire from Cosmic Nova as Woolhoy tries to mount a charge on defending series champion DJ Curtis. As we head into Maggots, Beckett's, it looks like Nova is going to use Woolhoy as a pick to get around defending series champion without much of a problem at all. Woolhoy looks like he's going to have the upper hand on the straight. Yes, he will. But let's see what the hangar straight has to say for Cosmic Nova. He's going to take the inside line and going to enter Stowe. He's going to try to pass Curtis on the inside without much of an issue either. Curtis now under fire from Cosmic Nova. It looks like he's just going to surrender that to the two-time Drivers' Champion without much of a problem. And although, maybe not, I'm wrong on that. Curtis trying to fight back against the 27, who's made it a very impressive showing throughout most of this rainy day. But Curtis going to have the better run on the outside of Club. That's usually where the better line is preferred. But Nova once again showing that he's driving the wheels off the 27, trying to get into the top 10. Eventually he gets by Curtis, and now he's going to mount a charge on the 16 of Wilhoit and Chris Louviere. And he's just going to dive it down the inside of maybe both drivers. I don't know how that's going to work. He might just get to them one at a time. Nova will get through them one at a time. Louviere gets tapped by the 16. And so that's going to leave the door open for Nova to maybe overtake both cars in a couple of corners as we enter Club. Is that going to pan out in Nova's favor? It probably will. Yes, it does. In fact, Nova's going to get that position. Wilhoit trying to get around Louviere on probably the outside line, entering Abbey, maybe. I don't know if that's going to work, because with the kind of equipment that Dodge Wrecking Balls has over Audi Team Joas, I don't see how that would work. Meanwhile, Jeffrey Finguy gets in a little bit of trouble with Marco Rossi, and he's going to turn him onto pit road, and that's going to result in a time penalty for Finguy, which is quite unfortunate. Oh, and Rossi couldn't steer it on the pit road. So runs into the end of the pit wall. Into lap 17 now. Chan is going to surrender the lead, I think. As the top 5 head down pit road, is anyone else going to stay out? It looks like Charles Sanford is going to stay out. And for certain, he's probably going to be the only Top Gun off pit road. Meanwhile, Asherton Zona making his debut, runs into Finguy on pit road. Finguy didn't like that and runs him into his pit stall, where he will stall the car as he ran into the back end of Chris Dodd. Chris Dodd wasn't having a good day either, but Zona is going to have to lose several laps into refiring that car back up. Meanwhile, on the exit of pit road, Tyler Thayer now getting chased down by Connor Atwood. What is Atwood doing? I understand he is faster on the exit. Oh, that's not good, that's not good. Oh, and you... What kind of piece of driving was that? I have never seen Connor Atwood this upset at Tyler Thayer before. And, yeah, Thayer not happy, gives him finger 11. And rightfully so. That's going to be a time penalty for car number 3, because that is among the most egregious things I've ever seen out of Connor Atwood. And now Thayer going to try to get the car back going. He's now under fire from 3 cars, that being of Wilhoit, Nova, and Louviere. And that is a tough break for Thayer. We're going to have a look at this. And despite this incident having occurred, Marco Rossi is running in the top 3, or in the top 5 rather, alongside Ryder Smith and Nico Poyakov. We understand that the 75 is off cycle, so he is going to have to drop due to the tire wear situation. And Rossi getting around Poyakov, which is pretty impressive. He actually managed to blow by both Ryder Smith and Nico Poyakov, so I must say this is a pretty impressive showing for Rossi, considering that he's running part-time in the 75, so I can see Rossi having a future in a series with where his performance is taking him right now. Ryder Smith now trying to battle out with Nico Poyakov for position. Smith trying to redeem himself from the incident that occurred in the 7400 that took him out of contention, that pretty much took him out of race due to disqualification and a 1-race ban. But Poyakov trying to hold on to the outside. Smith driving very aggressively, exiting left field. They're still side by side as they enter Woodcote there. Again, this is going to be a big battle between those two that we're going to have to watch throughout most of today. Charles Sanford just exited pit road. He actually led that lap. But Ryder Smith going to take advantage of the inside line, entering Copse right here. But the actual race leader is Ray Krager. In fact, he was off cycle and managed to get out ahead of Maxwell Chan, who was going to be the provisional race leader exiting pit stops. We know for a fact that Krager is off cycle with the leaders, so his lead will not last forever. But This is quite the impressive showing by Krieger. At least he's trying to persevere from the misfortunes that have struck him earlier, thanks to a puddle that Kyle Collins managed to slip on. Is Krieger going to be able to lead that lap? Chan is now all over the back bumper of the 17. As we enter into Brooklands and exit Brooklands into left field, I don't know if that's going to Krieger to make a mistake, and he almost did with Chan. Now Chan's starting to make mistakes of his own. He gets onto the curbing, exiting left field, and Krieger gonna try to lead the lap. He's gonna get away with leading the lap of this race, but Chan gonna take the race lead from the inside, and Chan is already extending his lead to well over 10 seconds over Ryder Smith. So pretty good stuff from him. Meanwhile, in the middle of pit stops, Woolhoy gets into a collision with Picarelli, and again, another tough break for Picarelli. He already has a time penalty assessed to him, and with Woolhoy exiting pit road right into him, Woolhoy might not be as quick on the exit. Charles Sanford now under fire from Nick Pericles and Cosmic Nova. Nova making his way into the top 10. Again, this is one of the most impressive showings I've seen out of Cosmic Nova all year long. It seems like his championship contention was going to be over after the Sony 400, but that's quite speculative on how Nova's going to perform if he competes next year. But Sanford now trying to mount an attack on Pericles for position. Easy going to take that inside. Entering the Avian Farm straight. Or outside, excuse me. That's going to cause Nova to slip behind the 24. He's going to use Sanford as a pick to get around Pericles as well. And Pericles slides it a little bit wide on the exit of Priory. But Woolhoy manages to be a little bit faster actually after pit cycle. So Sanford not benefiting very much after pitting a little bit later, but he most likely will later on in the run. These guys have to make at least 2 pit stops this race if they want to finish with enough fuel. Sanford and Pericles still side by side as they enter Copes once again. The Cosmic Nova waiting to strike at any mistake. As I say that, Sanford made a mistake on the exit of Copes, and as we go into Maggots, let's see if Nova's going to try and mount a charge. No, he will not. And Sanford trying to fight back against Nick Pericles for what I believe is the 7th or 8th position on the racetrack. And now Nova all over the back end of the 24. Speaking of Woolhoy, he, despite having that left side damage, he's actually much faster than he was on the exit of pit stop, so I'm not sure how that happened. Banana 16 is trying to mount a charge on Slim Jim's regular Will Lewis, with a little bit more experience than him in the wets, if I may recall correctly. Lewis wound up winning for the Wrecking Balls in the Slim Jim Series in the Rain Fest round of Leipzig. As of lap 21, Maxwell Chan has the fastest lap of the race. He is 3/10 faster than Ryder Smith's quickest lap. And that is an amazing showing of domination by Maxwell Chan. We haven't seen this in a while, since last year, if I may recall correctly. And, of course, Krieger on the last lap was 5 seconds off the pace. He is nowhere to be seen right now, as Krieger's well off the pace. And here's Connor Atwood again, going to try to mount a charge on Tyler Thaber on the following lap. Oh, I don't like where that's headed. Thaber was already not happy with Atwood. Into Maggots. Oh, what is he doing? Atwood dumps Thaber into Beckett's. Thaber's going to roll the car, and that's going to be his race done. Oh, boy. What on earth was Connor Atwood thinking? That was among the most dangerous pieces of driving I've ever seen out of him. He doesn't wreck Thaber once, but he does it twice, and in the same sector, no less. Let's have a look again. Yeah, that's clearly blatant piece of driving there by Connor Atwood. And the officials are calling the 3 to the hauler immediately after the conclusion of this race, because that was once again the most egregious pieces of driving I've seen out of Connor Atwood. Thaber will have to drop out of the race from pole position, and that's a shame because Thaber was looking very promising this weekend. Charles Sanford, despite having pitted later, is actually mounting a big charge in the leaders that did pit a lap sooner, so the advantage will go to Charles Sanford for right now, but I doubt that Sanford's going to close in on Maxwell Chan by 10 seconds. Sanford going to try everything he can to mount a charge into the top 5. In fact, he's going to try to close in on Kyle Collins and Paul Schneider for a top 5 position. Lap 27, problems for Ryder Smith as Hamilton reliability strikes again, at least to the 18. He is slow off of Copse, and for what it appeared to be a tire issue, actually was a terminal internal issue. That's going to put Smith out of the race, and that's a tough break for Ryder Smith's championship hopes, considering that he was going to mount a big charge on Sanford for the championship lead, or at least what he could have done. This is going to hand second place over to Nico Poyaka, who is 13 seconds back from the 51 of Maxwell Chan. But what a shame there for Ryder Smith, as he was going to mount a big lunge into the championship points. That's not going to happen today. Woolhoit now under attack from Cosmic Nova and Chris Louviere. Looks like Woolhoit is now starting to become a little bit slower. He may have ran it up on his rain tires a little bit. But of course, the alliance between Dodge Motorsports and the Wrecking Balls is not going to be favorable for Woolhoit, as he's going to have to surrender those 2 positions to Louviere and Nova. Woolhoit trying to fight back against the 98, but I doubt that's going to be favorable in his hands. Woolhoit trying everything he can to hold off the 98 as we head into Brooklands. Can Woolhoit hold off the 98 as we enter Lovefield? Lovefield's not a great place to run on the outside, so that might not be favorable for the 16. Louviere slides a little bit wide, trying to make the force the 16 into a mistake. Sean Angel and Connor Atwood did just that off of Lovefield. And Woolhoit trying to keep the position. Louviere now to his inside as I enter turn 1 into Copse now. Let's see if that's going to be favorable for Louviere. Yes, it will. And Louviere are going to advance into the 7th position. Meanwhile, Maxwell Chan just exiting from pit road. He just surrendered the race lead over to Nico Poyakov, I believe. He actually pitted early along with Charles Sanford. Sanford pitted early, which is a big surprise. At least to most of us, anyway. Chan looking to at least run away with the rest of the race with a short pit strategy, and he can get it done in the remaining 12 laps of the race. So I don't see how Chan wouldn't win this race under any circumstances at this point. He's been very dominant throughout most of the day. Meanwhile, Cosmic Nova runs into problems on the exit of pit road as he gets run into by Matt Duncan. Duncan, I think, is the championship leader coming into this race. Excuse me for calling Sanford the championship leader, and Nova runs into the back of Louviere. And this is a tough break for Cosmic Nova, because he was going to make his way maybe into a top 5 finish, and now it's going to force him to come down pit road to get that hood removed, and Nova is in no way happy about this one, as he's going to run all over the back of Louviere. Oh, don't try to turn him, please. I understand you're not happy about this one. And Nova might just be faster than Louviere at the exit of pit stops, but again, I can't necessarily blame Nova for being upset at this, because he made a big charge from 40th into the top 10, which again was one of the most impressive showings that I've ever seen out of Cosmic Nova all year. And Nova going to get around Louviere while giving him the one-finger salute. And again, I can't necessarily blame Nova for being upset about this one. It wasn't entirely his fault this happened. Meanwhile, Lewis Duran and Reese Black are going to find trouble on the exit of pit road, as Black is a little impatient with the 55 as they both spin off the track, entering maggots, and that's going to incur a time penalty on the 40. The 40 doesn't hit the wall, unlike the 55. Duran for Ian Masterson Racing was having a great run so far, running in the top 20, but now it's going to be all for naught, thanks to the impatience of Reese Black. He was one of the older, very down-to-earth drivers in this series. Again, tough break for Duran. He was having a great run today up till this happened. Lap 32, Dylan Young now all over the back of Asher Tanzona, who was several laps down in the 76 debuting for a Tauja Racing unit. And, of course, trying to negotiate Connor Atwood. Atwood nearly turns the 2 into the hangar straight And that's again another piece of dangerous driving. He's going to cut off DJ Curtis, and Curtis nearly spun because of this. And while this gives the officials a further cause to penalize 3, because his acts of driving have been a little less than safe, which is an understatement and a half by me, but again, that is a ridiculous piece of driving there by Connor Atwood, and hopefully the officials have to do something about that. Dylan Young nearly getting wrecked by the 3, and then Curtis nearly spinning himself out because he was cut off by the 3 on the same straightaway, no less. Curtis was trying to take advantage of an opening, but Atwood was not going to have that. Atwood was running about 13th place. Now he's in 12th. Going to try to run down Wilhoitz for 11th. It's not going to be a very popular call after this race. Kyle Collins, being among the fastest cars on the racetrack right now, off cycle pit stops, is going to mount a charge on Paul Schneider as we enter Abbey. Let's see if Collins can mount anything on the 2-time Formula X Drivers Champion. Around the outside of Club... Excuse me, that wasn't Abbey. That was Vale. But to no avail for Collins. Collins looking to mount a charge in the Drivers' Championship if he's going to have any shot at the lead. And I think he's going to come out with the championship lead after this race, if not Charles Sanford will. He is ahead of the 24 right now, if I recall correctly. With just under 10 laps to go in this race. And Nick Perriquet is not far behind in this race as well. Poyakov, of course, not performing as well as we had hoped in the points, to say the least. Meanwhile, Jeff Day Cook gets a little unhappy with the 68 of Chris Argus-Smith. He dumps him onto the pit wall, or in the end of the pit wall, and again is not happy with Argus-Smith, doesn't give him room at all, and he's going to turn to 68 again. And yeah, I wasn't surprised by that call by the stewards. They've called him to the office after this race. Meanwhile, Wilhoit now under fire from DJ Curtis, who's getting held up, Wilhoit's getting held up by the 28 of Alex Perkle. He's been rather slow since the first lap incident, and can I really blame him at this point? He's been struggling since the start of this race. Curtis tried to use Perkle as a pick to the inside, but that will not work as Atwood now going to be all over the back end of Curtis. I don't like where that's headed. But unfortunately for Curtis, he's going to get stuck behind 28. And he's going to try to shove the 28 down the inside line. That's not going to work either. And Curtis, unfortunately, trying to find a way around the 28. He's going to get him on the inside line, entering Maggots, and will eventually get around him. But unfortunately for Curtis, he would have gained the 9th position, but he's going to fall back to 11th, thanks to the last car of Perkle. Will Lewis is now all over the back end of his teammate Ray Krager for position. I really don't know how that's going to end. Krager is again off cycle. Lewis not having much patience for the 17, and he's going to turn the 17 off into Beckett's anyway, as Krager's going to hit the guardrail. And that will be a 10-second time penalty assessed to Will Lewis. And apparently this race seems to be a team destroyer when it comes to Team Thunder. But Ray Krager is trying to hold every restraint that he can from cursing in the radio, because Krager is one of the gentlemen that doesn't really curse at all, at least not to the media, so as far as we know. But Connor Atwood trying to mount a charge on the 16 of Wilhoit once again for 9th. But now is under fire from DJ Curtis. Curtis wants revenge for that little move that Atwood pulled a couple laps ago. Wilhoit trying to hold 2 cars off. He's not in the best equipment on the grid. In fact, it was supposed to be a mid-tier level equipment that Audi Team Joas has been provided with. But Atwood doing everything he can to force a mistake on the 16. But Wilhoit very persistent in his run. DJ Curtis in the top 10. This is not as high of a attrition race as we thought it would be, but it definitely brought the best out of some of the lower tier drivers. That's we did not expect to see up front at all. Lewis has dropped back a couple positions, so now this is a battle for 8th. As Wilhoit tries to mount a charge from Louvier, but Hunter Atwood about to go under fire from DJ Curtis, and this is the kind of style that Curtis won a championship in. White flag is out for Maxwell Chan, but Curtis trying to take that track position back from Atwood so he can chase down to 16. Maybe one more time to mount a charge for position, but I don't think Atwood's going to budge a bit at all. Maxwell Chan was already ahead by 20 seconds, so this race is pretty much over for the win, but not for the 8th position between those three. Wilhoit trying to do everything he can to hold off the 3. It looks like he's going to be able to do so at the end of this race. So, and Louvier is going to get away with 7th, it appears. Atwood trying to mount a charge on the inside of Stowe. That's not quite going to do it. He saw an opening on the 16, but he's not going to take advantage of that as a go to Vail. He's going to force a mistake into the 16, maybe into Club, but that might not do it either. The 16 is going to continue to hold him off. Curtis looks like he's going to have an inside line run on the exit of Club. Not quite. That's a battle we've been watching for most of the race anyway. But that'll be all for naught from here. I would try to force a mistake into 16, but that's to no avail also. Rounding off the final corner, the wet round of Silverstone, Maxwell Chan, in dominant fashion, is going to win here in Great Britain. A dominating performance by the 51 crew, and hopefully they'll be very happy with this win today as we head into the post-race results.
So, with that, Maxwell Chan is the first to 7 career wins, and he is now the winningest driver in the Insomniac Elite Series, at least for now. Congratulations to him on an absolutely dominant drive that harkens back to his performances from last year. Kyle Collins drove the wheels off that car, but he'll have to settle for 2nd place. I don't think he'll be complaining about it, though, as it is his 7th top 5 finish of the year. Niko Polyakov gets a much-needed good race here as he finishes on the podium, and Paul Schneider gets BMW Team Deutschland their best finish in his first race with the team in 4th. Nick Pericles, fantastic day for him again. He finishes 5th. And F41 team's been on a very good run of form lately. 3 top 10s in a row and almost 3 top 5s. But he finished just outside. He finished 7th at Michigan. But still, very strong run of form. We'll be having to keep an eye on that 41 team. Sean Angel gets a good points day, coming home in 6th. He will not be getting the points lead, though, as his championship rival Charles Sanford finishes right behind him in 7th. Chris Louvier manages to bounce back from his issues today in order to finish in the top 10, still in 8th, and he sets a personal record for his most top 10s in a season with 8. Tristan Wilhoit gets his 2nd top 10 finish in a row in 9th, and Connor Atwood finishes in 10th, but it was said after the race he was slapped with a 25-point penalty, so he will not be scoring a whole lot today. DJ Curtis comes up just shy of a top 10, but 11th, another great run for Shell United Motors and that 78 crew. And Will Lewis, despite his hardships, still first IS start, home race, comes home 12th for the 74 team. That is the first time that 74 team has finished a race when Brandon Wood is not in the car. Dylan Young bounces back from his Michigan wreck to finish in 13th, and Jason Perkle all the way from the back of the field to finish 14th. Great job for him. Phyllis Fuller back of TRU, but she finishes a very solid 15th. Kozik Nova in 16th. I'm sure he wanted a little better than that. Jeffrey Finguy originally finished 14th, but a time penalty relegates him to 17th. And then is Seth Cole, Allie Nelson, and Reese Black around your top 20. Reese Black also had finished 18th, but also got a time penalty. And then we move on to the standings, where Charles Sanford has retaken the point lead thanks to Matt Duncan finishing outside the points. Sean Angel is 7 points off of him, and then with his 7th top 5 of the year and his 9th top 10, that's a tie for the most. Kyle Collins now only 16 points off the lead despite not winning a race. Matt Duncan, after his poor run today, drops to 4th in the standings, 27 points off the lead. And then 45 points behind him is Seth Cole in 5th. See, at least that top 4 is starting to look like the favorites for the title, but the others are definitely not out of it, especially since Ryder Smith is in that crowd of the drivers on the outside looking in. He did not get the run he was looking for today, and he does drop to 81 points behind first. Don't count him out. We know how fast that 18 crew is. Expect him to bounce back next race. And Maxwell Chan, with his win, jumps up to 7th, now 83 points off. Cosmic Nova drops to 8th after a bit of disappointing run. Chris Lavier holds station in 9th, and then right in the top 10 is James Shelley, drops to 10th after a poor finish today. Niko Polyakov is still 11th, but now only 5 points off of 10th. He is in striking distance of the top 10 now. After yet another good finish, Nick Berkeley's continues run of form, moving up to 12th in the standings, taking that spot from Ray Krieger. Reese Black remains in 14th. Tyler Faber, after a very frustrating race today, another DNF, he remains in 15th, now 212 points behind. The number 3 RJ Manson Racing Team is tied with Brandon Wood, but since they raced today and Brandon Wood did not, they're 16th and Brandon Wood is 17th. Tristan Wilhoit is 18th. He gets back in the top 20. Then it's Ryan Acosta and Ali Nelson rounding out your top 20. That is all for this week. Be sure to stick around next time when the Insomniac Elite Series heads to Sweden for the second round of the European Tour.